Okay. So yeah, I think I'm ready. Yeah. So the pretty much just a second. I feel like I'm unprepared today. Even though I've been in my office for a while today and I've actually got a lot of stuff done this morning. Okay. So the good news is I started recording the video. So I've decided to update all the projects. So I think I have a good plan now. Um Before I used to record um do my voiceover while I'm doing the screen recording, which is difficult trying to talk and because sometimes if I'm trying to doing something and I mess up what I'm saying, for example, if I'm running a command, it's much difficult to try to explain that part of the command I already ran. So I started a new way, which is just re do the work, which is much easier for me that way. Do the work, record the screen, then come back later and do my voiceover. So that's allowing me to record the videos much faster. So so all the all the videos for all the projects are going to be redo. How's that? Do I even say that? I'm going to redo pretty much all the projects. So some of the projects I'm going to remove, any static project we have there, I'm going to remove those projects. The only static one I'm going to leave is the first one. So like the static one for Docker, I'm going to remove that. Once we do the Docker project dynamic, if you guys want to do Docker for the static one, you can pretty much use the same knowledge for the dynamic one to complete the static one. So I'll remove the static projects for Docker, and I also remove the static project for the EC2. They'll just be just because the EC2, I think we have two projects there now. So I'm going to remove one, and we're just going to have the first one, which is just deploying an HTML website in the public subnet. So I'm going to have that. So it will be very clean and it will be very straight to the point. And also um, while I'm updating the project, I'm also going to add the Azure project to it too. So I pretty much just started learning Azure. Um, this, when was it? Earlier this week. I just got, I got, I just like, I got tired of procrastinating. I said, you know what? I'm learning this thing tonight. And I just, started with ChatGPT asking some questions. Pretty much how I started was I already have AWS knowledge and I'm trying to translate it into Azure. Um, Pretty much how do I get started? So been pretty much walking me through it and which is very helpful. So I'm going to update the project as we go. So I'm starting with the static website. So for every project I update, it will be an AWS version and an Azure version as well. So I'll upload both at a time. So we have the static website, dynamic. Um, I think I'll still do the WordPress one. WordPress, the dynamic web app. Then we'll do the Docker, Kubernetes, and that's it. Then from there, it's Terraform module, CI/CD, then Ansible at the end. The Python one, I'm not going to focus on those ones, whatever we have there will still be there. But at some point, if I have time, I'll update the Python one. probably way at the end. So for now, I'm not going to focus on it. The main thing I'm going to focus on is the project we've been working on. So the good news is now when I update it, you guys will, for those of you that still have your active subscription in your account, you will see you'll have access to the Azure project as well. And from what I can say from just working on Azure, because I've already deployed the static website in it already. And from what I see with Azure, Azure is actually much easier to learn
Yeah, it is.
because there there's a lot of things. There's some minor things that we have to do in AWS that we in Azure you really don't have to do it. Azure takes care of majority of those things for you. So I like it so far. For example, you can literally create a VPC with public and private subnets in less than 5 minutes. So it's that it's that straightforward. There isn't anything complicated about it. In Azure, you really don't have to set up NAT. You don't have to create a NAT gateway, attach it to your VPC. You don't have to create route tables. Um, you don't have to create a route table, public route table, private route table. You don't have to set up any of those things. Even when you create your public and private subnet, it's just a check. You just check a box. That's it. If you want it to be private, you check a box. If you don't want it to be private, if you want it to be public, you leave it unchecked. So, um, so I'm actually learning a lot. The Azure account storage, creating a container in it. I mean, that part is, well, it's kind of like similar to S3 too, you know, the network security group. I like that one too. In Azure, you don't, okay, even for the private subnet, things like NAT gateway. When you create your NAT gateway, you don't have to go and um, set up the routes in the route table and all that stuff. So as you create a NAT gateway, Azure pretty much handles the how the NAT gateway is supposed to work. All you have to do is while you are creating the NAT gateway, you just select what subnets will use that NAT gateway, and you're pretty much done. So there's a lot of stuff in Azure that so far that I've seen that is very simple to create. And the knowledge from the AWS side is pretty much is concept wise. Whatever knowledge you have in AWS, you won't have any issue with learning Azure as well because it's the same exact thing. It's just how things is done in Azure is with some resources is slightly different, but the concept is exactly the same. So far, when you guys see the first project with the static one, when you work on it in AWS and work on it in Azure, you will see that they are pretty much concept-wise, they are exactly the same. The same things we are doing in AWS will be the same thing we are doing in Azure. But the configuration part is where, so far, I see that Azure is much simpler to configure certain things. Um, what else? Yeah. So, for the Azure project, I'm actually done recording it. I've recorded the whole static website project. So I just need to edit the last couple of videos, then I'll add some intro videos for some of the sections. Then um, hopefully I still have to record the AWS one. So I'm hoping to finish all those by this weekend, at least recording by this weekend, edit next week, and have it uploaded not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. So I'll try to shoot for like 2 weeks to release each of the projects. Every 2 weeks, I'll try to release each of the projects. So hopefully by 2-3 months, we'll have all the projects done. Yeah. So
That's absolutely cool, Aziz.
yeah,
That's cool.
Thank you so much, Aziz, for that. Was
yeah, you're welcome. So
Thank you, Aziz. Is it this question might not be really relevant, so to say, but in your opinion, I know for sure that I've seen a lot of recruiters that are telling me okay, once you learn Azure, you can reapply. We do have on a regular basis Azure DevOps and things like that. And I do tell them, okay, sure, I will do that. Do you think as Azure DevOps, they get the same equal pay with AWS experience? In your opinion, what do you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it makes you much marketable, right? And is also a tool you can use to negotiate. So you might be able to negotiate more, but for companies that are probably looking for you to have both Azure and AWS experience, they probably going to want to pay you whatever they are paying for that
Okay, let me quickly add
engine.
this. Sorry, let me add this. I applied for a job and they were moving faster. Later, I realized that this is Azure DevOps, and some of the things they're going to be asking me, I might not really know them and things like that. So I quickly reach out of, to respect that time. Oh, they say, okay, just let's leave it on Monday. We still like to move on with you. While talking, with you over the phone, it looks like you know what you are talking about. Regardless, we still want to do this, we still want to do that. But everything about the job description talks about, including the monitoring, it talks about Azure. So I was wondering, you know how some companies will have Azure and AWS combined together. So when I just told them that, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. This is who I am. I'm into AWS. I'm about to get into Azure. And they say, okay, we will still take you regardless. So that is just to also buttress your point that if somebody is open, they might want to, um, give that person a second chance, so to say.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. Um, so you haven't had the interview
Yeah,
or
it's scheduled this coming Monday,
okay.
4 p.m. to be precise. But we've already had the very first video, 30 minutes kind of introduction and things like
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think maybe you should just, I mean, let them know how it's going that you actually started um learning Azure and the things you've done in AWS, you actually are replicating them in Azure that you find it that you plan on getting up to speed with in Azure as soon as possible. Honestly, with your AWS knowledge, you'll find that Azure is not difficult to
So I
learn.
heard. So
Is
I heard.
is in my opinion, so far what I've seen is actually much simple. It's simpler to learn because of some of the things you have to configure that is minimized in Azure. Like for example, like I said, when you create your VPC, it's just the route table part you don't have to create. You can create route table if you want to do specific things, but for the route table for your public and private subnets to work, you don't have to configure that. If you create a public subnet, Azure will set up the necessary configuration for that subnet to be public to have access to the internet. And if you set up a private subnet, Azure will also do the same thing in terms of the route or for that subnet to be private. The only thing you have to create is you have to create a NAT gateway. And even creating the NAT gateway, couple of clicks, you're done. It's the same concept as AWS. You create a NAT gateway, you you create a NAT gateway, you attach a public IP to it. It's the same way in Azure. And the only difference is in AWS, we create our NAT gateway in public subnet. That is the subnet we are creating the NAT gateway in. In Azure, you just tell Azure, I want a NAT gateway. Azure would create it where it needs to be. All you have to do is when you're creating the NAT gateway, you just tell it, these are the subnets that are going to use this NAT gateway, meaning that your private subnet that you want to have access to the internet, and you are pretty much done. So literally you can, if I log in and just click away, I can create a VPC its public and private subnet probably in like 5 minutes. It's very straightforward and very simple. So once you guys start doing your project, you will see is nothing. There's nothing to worry about.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hello, Aziz. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, I mean, from what you said so far, it just sounds like if you've had prior knowledge of AWS, which is more hands-on, Azure sounds like it's more user-friendly. I mean, would that be your opinion of it? Like,
Um, User friendly. Yes and no.
okay.
It like is much user friendly, but there are parts of AWS that I like, and there's parts of Azure that I like. So in terms of when you are creating a resource, like Azure manage sets a good amount of the resource for you where you don't have to configure it yourself, like things I just mentioned. I like that about Azure. But user friendly in terms of um well, it is user friendly.
Because if you
Uh
think they're going from the concept of Microsoft and all Microsoft has ever done was just make things more easier to use. A
mhm.
Windows computer is easier to use than than a Mac, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
So they're going on that logic, then it would just mean that obviously they built their platform the same way as well, right?
yeah. Yeah, so um it seems in the beginning, if you're a beginner, it seems overwhelming when you are looking at it compared to AWS, where everything just seems to be uh, minimized in a way and straightforward. So, for example, let me share my screen. I'm gonna show you guys something. And AWS used to be just like this, but they've pretty much work on it. Um, in their new console for the past 2 years, it's been different. So, for example, let's say I'm creating and in Azure it's called virtual machine, but in AWS it's like equivalent to EC2, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm creating an EC2 here, and most of the setting in Azure is like that, um, I AWS used to be like this. For me, this is it's cool in the big. That's what I'm saying. Like for a beginner, when you are looking at it for the first time, it might look overwhelming, but it is really not. So Azure has it like this, and you click next, and you click next, and you click next, and you click next, right? I like, for me personally, I like AWS better when it comes to how theirs is set up. Let me show you AWS on. I like how in AWS, it is minimized a little bit. AWS used to be just like this, where you click next and you have a bunch of settings, then you click next. And for a beginner, you might be confused, like, okay, what do I select here? But really, the good thing about it is everything here, you just leave it as default. You don't have to configure everything you see. So if you configure most of your things on the basic, you are good. Then, but in AWS, for example, if we create an EC2, right? I like how this is just top to bottom, right? Here, I add my name, select my image, my instance type, key pair, add my VPC, and I'm done. Launch an instance. So when you talk about user-friendly, AWS seems much user-friendly to me in this sense. You
But don't,
understand?
but don't you think
But,
when you start writing scripts and stuff like that to automate it,
excuse me?
when you start writing automation scripts, right? Don't you
Mhm.
think that the Azure would be a little bit more straightforward from what I've just seen just now?
Yes. Yes, right. So when you are writing scripts, like for example, that's what I'm saying, like in our VPC configuration, we would have to write, and when we use Terraform, we would have to write a script for our route table, attach the route table to the subnet,
Hmm.
And we do that we create the route, attach it to the subnets. And we'll do the same thing for the private route, attach it to the subnet. In Azure, we wouldn't need all that script, because I'm pretty sure as soon as we create our private subnet and we say it's a private subnet, Azure handles that. So Azure is much user, will probably be much beneficial, I agree, when we start creating the script, because some of the script of things you have to configure in AWS that you don't have to do in Azure, it minimizes your code in Azure in your Terraform code. So I agree. So while I was just saying, like, when it comes to user friendly, it depends on what you prefer, right? I like that Azure minimize some of the configuration things you have to configure, but I like that AWS UI is much easier to follow. So it just depends.
Okay. I'm actually gonna start using it. I never even thought about it, but I'm actually gonna open an account and just start trying to
Yeah.
just start using it.
Yeah. So
Do they also have a free tier like AWS? Do they have a free tier?
yes, they do. But the free tier is just kind of like AWS. They give you some. Hello, Audrey. Yes, they give you some. Uh, yes, CloudFormation is easy, but the only thing about CloudFormation that I don't like is um the troubleshooting in CloudFormation is difficult. So I actually prefer using Terraform compared to CloudFormation. So AWS has, I think the majority of AWS service is good. But CloudFormation still needs a lot of work, in my opinion. It's not pretty much up to par with other infrastructure as code too, like Terraform that is out there. Yeah, so yes, they give you like thank you, OY. Yes, they give you $200 in credit towards like some of services they have that is free.
Is
But
that every
for
month?
no.
Oh,
Just
okay.
one time. Once you exhaust it, it's like AWS. AWS gives you the credit too, right? And once you exhaust it, then you go into the pay as you go. So in my video, I try to show you guys how to set up your account, how to create your account. So the best way I found is I'm sure most of us have a Microsoft account. So create your Microsoft account, then use your Microsoft account to sign in into Azure. It will be straightforward. Then when you are in Azure, you create a subscription. Once you create a subscription, then in the beginning they will have the free one that you sign up for. But once you exhaust that, then you have to sign up for the pay as you go. So it's similar to AWS. You only pay for the service you use. So and from what I found, it looks very cheap. Like this virtual machine, when I ran it, it only cost me like $1 an hour. It was like was it not $1 an hour, like 9 cents. I think it's like 9 cents an hour. And for the whole month, it will cost $70. Like if I leave it running for the entire month, it will cost me $70. So that is very good. That is very good. So, but for a lot of the things and each of this configuration of this Azure projects that I recorded, each video was like 3 minutes long, 2 minutes long. It was very straightforward, very easy to configure. So it'll be something you'll be able to learn and remove your resource once you are done. So I think as long as you don't leave anything running, you'll be fine.
Yeah, Aziz, what about terminology? How is it much different from AWS?
It's the same, right? Oh, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a visual chart for you guys for each of, for example, my idea is when I do because I'm teaching it from, how do I say? I'm teaching it from the perspective of someone coming from AWS. So a lot of the stuff I'm saying especially when I'm explaining something, I'm relating it back to AWS. So if I say, in this video, we'll create a storage account. Then next to that, I'll say storage account in Azure is equivalent to if you create an S3 bucket in AWS. So I'm saying that. But at the end, on each video's intro, I'll give you guys the terminology for whatever resource we are creating and what it is equivalent to in AWS. So I'll do that. And at the end, I'll create a list of all of them. So it will be Azure on one side, what it is in Azure and what it is in AWS. So hopefully that will help.
That's a very brilliant idea. I mean,
Yeah.
that's very good. Which is will make it so easy to just pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you said about cloud formation. So I was just doing my cloud formation recently, the project, and it's just tedious. Like compared to Terraform, it's just roundabouts. There's all this, and honestly, I don't like YAML language. Like you said, I think you mentioned that last week or 2 weeks ago. It's just I don't know. I guess because I felt the convenience of Terraform. Cloud formation is just like an
Mhm.
excess stress for me.
It is. In the beginning when you are learning it, it is. I mean, once you get a hang of it, it gets a little bit easier. The only part that I still don't like is the troubleshooting part. Is they've been improving it, but not as it's still just not as good as Terraform. So, and really, you guys don't have to. I would say when you are learn cloud formation when on your free time. That when you've learned everything else, then learn cloud formation because most likely at work you'll be using Terraform. So I think I haven't even had any job where we use CloudFormation. So I mean they've used it in some of the things they've deployed, but made but the main tool they were using for infrastructure as code is Terraform. So I'll prioritize using Terraform over CloudFormation.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Aziz. Yeah, I think there was a company that mentioned Pulumi, and they told me that the reason is because Terraform do have its own pros and cons, and that is why they prefer Pulumi. But they do kind of welcome anybody that knows what he or she is doing when it comes to Terraform.
Mhm.
But in their own, as far as their workflow is concerned, they prefer Pulumi, and which is not really common compared to Terraform and CloudFormation. But I just said, let me at least add that to the conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes, I've heard about Pulumi before, but for you guys now that are learning, I still wouldn't learn it. Like, uh, I'll prefer you guys do almost all your deployments with Terraform. All your infrastructure as code to with Terraform because chances are once you know Terraform very well, um, if you have to learn any other IAC too, you'll be able to. Just like I'm learning Azure now, and I didn't even take any Azure class at all. In the beginning, I was like, when I was procrastinating, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I need to take Azure 101, whatever that Azure class is, and learn the terminology first and all that stuff. I don't have to do that. Like literally, the um all the knowledge in AWS, the concept is the same in Azure. So in IAC too, whatever how you are writing the code, what so basically what I'm trying to say is like when you create an EC2 in AWS, creating an EC2 is whatever setting you need to create an EC2 is the settings you need to create an EC2, right? So whether you are using CloudFormation, Pulumi, or Terraform, it's those same settings you would have to find in them. You understand? So the main work is understanding what do I need to create an EC2. And once you understand that, it's just about finding those settings in those code. But of all three, I will prioritize CloudFormation. Um, sure. Sh I'm sure. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. Celia, yes, Um, it is AWS class. We always discuss stuff every Saturday. Uh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yes, I agree. Terraform is really. I mean, CloudFormation is rarely used. So. Yeah, so I wouldn't. So when you guys are learning now, you don't feel like you have to learn everything. Just stick with the most popular one You will never go wrong with learning Terraform and understanding how to use Terraform to deploy your infrastructure in AWS and Azure. CloudFormation and Pulumi, those ones are like something you learn on your free time. For me, I wouldn't even learn it unless if I'm trying to get a job that's what they are using, then I'll learn it, you know. But if you know one, how I learned Terraform was I learned CloudFormation before Terraform. And how I learned Terraform is I took whatever I did in CloudFormation and I pretty much those same settings is what I applied in Terraform. So the difficult part about learning is understanding what you need. Once you understand what you need in terms of the service you are trying to create and how to configure it, writing the code is actually much simpler. So that's what I would say. Yeah. So, Dylan, so before you came, I was telling them that I started recording the video for Azure. So now you guys will have an Azure for every project we completed in AWS, there will be an Azure version of it too. So I started recording.
Okay. All right.
I
That's
started
cool.
recording the video. So I shall have the first Azure project, which is the static website one, done. I'm trying to release it by not this coming Monday, but the Monday after. So I'm done recording it.
And
I just need to edit the video. Then I'll record the AWS one. I want to release both at the same time.
are you gonna put that on your on a on a the work order, the AZ worksheet that we've been working on the videos? That's where this is gonna be at.
It's gonna be in you guys. Like I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it here, but for you guys that are part of the mentorship, then it will just be part of you guys will have access to it. I will
Okay.
include it. I
Okay.
will include it, but I haven't really figured out how I'm gonna do it yet, but it will be there.
Was it difficult creating this the Azure part of
No,
it for the stuff that you had to do?
Azure is much simpler to create than AWS
Oh, okay. Okay.
because some of the things you have to create in Azure so far, for what I've seen, because I've only deployed a static website and I've created my public and private subnet. I've set up my security groups. In
Mhm.
Azure, some of the things you have to configure in AWS, you don't have to configure it in Azure. Azure handles all that stuff for you. For example, if you create a public and private subnet, it's
Mhm.
only one, you only check a box to let Azure know you want it to be public, and if you want it to be public, you leave it unchecked. If you want it to be private, you check it. So once you check it that you want that subnet to be private, Azure handles all the routing, the route tables and everything behind the scenes. So you don't even
Oh,
have to
that's
create a
live.
route table. Yeah. So
In your experience, what was the most difficult thing that you think we will encounter building this?
in Azure,
Yeah, in Azure. For as the how the process how you have it, what would probably be the most difficult thing that we'll have to encounter? It might be minor to you, but it might be major to somebody else like myself, or not even probably myself.
I don't think you're going to encounter any difficulty at all. As long as you
Oh,
already, a lot of the concept, things you know in AWS is 100%, is like you can take it and just go and apply it to Azure. So you
okay.
won't, if you are a beginner, you don't know anything, yes, it will be. Okay, so if you're saying that the most difficult thing you would have to learn is, okay, I want to create an EC2. What is an EC2 called in Azure? That is simple enough, but that is probably that's the work you would have to do, right?
Okay,
It's
and
which
Azure, what do they call EC2s in Azure?
virtual machines.
Okay, all right, cool. Light
So,
work.
but
All
at
right,
the end of the project, I'll give you guys a list of I'll give you guys a list of the services, what is called in AWS and what it is called in Azure, right? And I'll
Okay.
probably
Okay.
even try to like do as much as if you need to whether you have to configure it in if you configure it in AWS, whether you configure it in Azure. Yeah, so Azure is very um ISON is it just depends. If you're getting the mentorship thing, which is like you get a year access, it is $4.99. But I also have like a monthly subscription that gives you access to all the projects, and that one is only I think it's like $49 a month. So it just depends
And
on which one you get.
in Azure, the creator EC2 for Azure and AWS, I know they're two different setups. Which one is cheaper? The Azure, because I'm looking at $70 to create a virtual machine.
Yeah.
And
So
I know Amazon they give you so many months free to create a
yeah.
EC2.
And when you sign up for the first time, it is you get like $200 credit, right? That you can
Mm-hmm.
use. But then after that, after you use it, it's pay as you go. But the $70 you are seeing here is a month, right? You're not even
Mm-hmm.
going to the projects we like I've launched a virtual machine. I've done what I need to do with it and I've terminated in less than 30 minutes. And if I launch this, it costs 9 cents an hour,
Mm-hmm.
right? So 9 cents an hour, if I finish my project in 30 minutes, so you're really like paying like 4 cents. So it's still
No.
very
Okay.
cheap. Yeah. So
Right. Right.
it's not anything it's not anything to worry about at all. AG,
Okay.
AG, if you want to join, this is my website. So if you go on aosnode.com, right? If you go on aosnode.com here, you see courses here. Click on this course. So this program we are doing now, it's like my mentorship program is this one you are seeing here. So you can read more information about it here. And if you are interested, you just click this get started now and it will take you to the checkout page. And once you sign up, is you get 1 year access. And now I'm also going to include AWS and Azure as well for the same price. Okay. Yeah. So I think you guys you have fun learning Azure. It's very good.
Yeah,
Very
I can
good.
see it now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
And go ahead.
I put something in the chat. A guy reached out to me. Can you take a look at it and give me your thoughts on it? He wanted me to fill this on out. I filled it on out. I sent it to him, and I haven't heard back from him yet. But um, not there. I'm talking about in the Zoom. I put
Awesome.
it in the I put it in the I put it in the chat for you.
Okay. Is something you want me to do
Just
now or just later on?
later on, just take a look at it.
Okay.
It's some kind of probationary period agreement. Just take a
Mm-hmm.
look at it. Now I don't know where, for as if I got the job or because I didn't do any interviews or anything for it. I don't know you know, what necessary steps that he want me to take, or just sit there and wait for him to get back to me.
So your probationary period is like 21 days. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody has probationary period when they start working, right? It's just when you start working, right? Most of the
Mm-hmm.
time is 90 days, but they said theirs is 21. So it's just time where they use to train you, and it's also time where they try to see if you are a good fit for the position, right? So if you do very well in that position in that 90 days, everything's connecting. You're working with them, they are working with you, everybody like each other. Everyone tends to make it past their 90 days. Although I have had a job before that I did it, they actually fired me after the 90th day. they let me go. But that was actually a blessing though, because I was getting stressed on that job too. I just didn't
Yeah,
think it was I just didn't think it was a good fit. So sometimes it does happen, right? But
right.
for the most part, most people make it through their 90 days. So it's not so most people make it through the probationary period. So it's not something you have to worry about.
Okay.
Just once you start, just focus on the job, right? Do
Mm-hmm.
like pay attention to what they are asking you to do. And if you do a good job, and if it's not, it's also the probationary period is not also always, it's not 100% for them too. It's also for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you also saying whether that's a good fit for you. Because trust me, not all jobs is like a good fit. Some jobs might be stressing you out by the next week. So the probationary period is also for you to evaluate the company. So um, that's how you look at it.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Um, I had reached out to. I had seen an ad on YouTube, and I had reached out to him, and it was a guy. He was trying to teach people data analysts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going through his courses, trying to figure out, get more knowledge on it, and see if I want to pivot and try to take some of his little not some of his little classes, some of his classes, not to demoralize him, but uh he told me a price for the data analyst position. You want to hear it?
How much is it?
8,000 to 15,000. But he
Wow.
said he can guarantee you a job. It's like, ooh,
Okay.
that's a lot. It's a lot.
But
But
what is he gonna teach you?
data analyst,
Is it
for as
did he show you the curriculum?
no, he didn't show me no curriculum, anything. He was just
Okay.
going down the list. I guess he was reading from some kind of PDF he was trying to show you. I was kind of trying to get there with him, but he was like, "Man, just put down on a down payment, and then we can show you all the curriculum that you
No,
pretty
no,
much that you need."
no, no, no. Curriculum is curriculum. Like you should be able to show you your curriculum before you start paying someone 15,000 for stuff. And why do you even have to pay 15,000? Well, people can charge whatever they want to charge, but no. I always get this a lot where even when people reach out to me, one of the things they always ask me is, can you guarantee me a job? No, I can't guarantee you a job. And no one can guarantee you a job. You should believe in your abilities that you do whatever it takes to learn what you need to learn to be able to get a job, right? So, and I see that is how um, I don't want to say scam, but that is the marketing tactics that these people use most times when they try to get you to pay a lot of money. They throw it out there that they guarantee that they can get you a job. That's a lie. Unless if they have a company that you guys sign an agreement that as soon as you finish their program, they will hire you and you already have the offer, then pay them that type of money.
Right, right.
No, no,
Uh, I
no
agree with
one,
Aziz,
right.
because the cost that I said last week, I paid 4,500 pounds
Mm-hmm.
for the same thing. There was like a guarantee, and I won't lie, I fell for it. So, but honestly, I think in this job market, it's you're all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantee anywhere really.
There
There
is
isn't.
not. There isn't. Yeah, I agree. So that's why I always try to tell. So when people ask me, can you guarantee before I sign up, can you guarantee that I'm going to get a job? I say, look, I can't guarantee that you're going to get a job. What I can guarantee is that I'll teach you all the things you need to learn to be confident with your skills. I'll take you from zero to knowing something. And the the knowledge you're going to have is going to be a knowledge you can use on your job on day one. I can guarantee that for sure. But getting a job is something because if they guarantee you a job, they say you're going to get a job, right? And you don't do all the things you you are supposed to do to learn. How is that guarantee going to work? Are you still guaranteed the job? So that's why I said everything is based on you. You have to put in the work. And once you go through the project, you learn the things you need to learn, then you'll be ready for a job. Honestly. Because I've always said once you make it to the interview, at that point, that is an opportunity, right? Whether you get a job or not is all based on what you say in that interview, right? And how do you seize the opportunity? You seize the opportunity. The opportunity is already before you walked into the interview, the work is already done. Everything you've been working on so far, now you get to showcase it in that interview. And if you've been cheating, it shows during the interview. And if you've been working, it shows during the interview. So I've always said, once you make it to an interview, that is the opportunity. At that point, you can't say, oh, there's no job out there, because you did get an opportunity to get a job. You probably say or didn't say something to make them feel like you are the right fit for the job, which is fine. It's not every job you apply for that you do interview you will get, but understand that an interview is an opportunity. It's like one step closer to getting the position. So yeah, so you have to do the work. There's no guarantee. So don't let anyone guarantee you a job. Say they'll guarantee you a job for you to pay $14,000. That's too much. I told you guys I had to learn Azure, all right? I keep telling you guys, for me, majority of my life, I didn't think I was smart. And it's based on how I grew up. So how I grew up, right? Growing up in Nigeria, like a lot of the things that happened to me, I internalized it. I just be very transparent with you guys. I internalized it for the majority of my life. I think I'm even on this recovery journey. It's not even up to 6 years or 7 years that when I realized that I can actually design the type of life I want. Like if I want something, I can actually get it through effort, right? It's not based on intelligence. I'm not smarter than you guys whatsoever. You guys have ways that you are smart. There are things you guys are intelligent in. The ways you think is very unique, right? Everyone is unique. I'm telling you guys, everything I've ever done in AWS, if I teach you guys something, is all based on effort. It's not based because I'm intelligent or anything. Well, I'm intelligent, but it's not because I'm smart that everything just like I just open it, I open the management console and I just start writing stuff. No, I ask questions, I take notes. Let me show you guys. Where's my chat GPT? So look at in ChatGPT, right? I created a project. I called it Learn Azure, right? In it, I started well, in this project, when you create a project, all the different questions you ask are different. If you start a new chat, it just puts it in different thing. I think I started here, right? So if I scroll all the way back here, let me see if this is where I started. So you see, I started here. You can see the question that I asked. I already have experience in AWS. I want to leverage that knowledge to learn Azure. I've successfully signed up for an Azure account. The first thing I want to know is whether the concept applies to this concept of the root account that in AWS apply, because I was trying to figure out how to set up my root if I need to set up a user with administrator access and all that stuff, right? So that because I know that's where I started in AWS. So I'm trying to start step by step in Azure. So, and he kept explaining everything to me, and I kept following back up with different questions, right? That is how you learn. I mean, at least I'm not saying that everyone is different, but this is how I learn. So I do sit down during the day and at night as time permits me, and I do study and I learn. It's not So when I come and show you guys something, it's because I've practiced it probably so many times. It's not because I'm just smart, I just know it. So that's what I'm saying. Everything is based on effort. If you want to learn AWS, that's just what you have to do for yourself. You just have to tell yourself, you know what, this is what I want to do. And I'm just going to do whatever it takes to learn it. That's it. I keep telling you guys, I'm not, it's not because I'm smarter, honestly. So don't, so I'm saying all that to say you really don't have to pay anybody to learn AWS, especially now that you have ChatGPT, or now that you have ChatGPT and Claude, you really don't have to pay anyone, honestly, to learn. In this, even for you guys that are here that bought my course, what you guys paid me for is the fact that I've done all the work to simplify the process for you guys, and I'm giving you pretty much everything 1, 2, 3. And also, I'm meeting with you guys every weekend to spend time with you guys and answer any questions you have. So you guys are paying me for my time. But the knowledge that I'm offering you guys, if you are someone that can be consistent with finding answers, the answers are online, really, is online. So, but if some people don't, some people prefer not to try to go through trials and error to try to figure it out. They want, okay, I want to learn Azure. You guys have told me you want to learn Azure. Just we want you to do the project and tell us how to set things up, right? Some of you guys prefer that. That is what you guys are paying me for, that I go and do the research for you guys. But it doesn't mean you have to pay me 15,000 to get the information. Because if you want it that bad that you feel you have to pay 15,000, just go use ChatGPT. Come in ChatGPT. Dylan, this is what I would do. Come in ChatGPT, click over here, start a new project, call the project data engineering project, and tell ChatGPT exactly where you are.
Okay.
You are a beginner with no experience. I need you to create a step-by-step plan for me to go from where I am now to job ready. It will create a plan for you, and you just start from there, and you will follow back up with questions. It will take time, but trust me, you'll learn much more that way than paying someone. The 15,000, why would you pay 15,000? They can't even show you the curriculum. Even in college, before you pay all that money, you get all your curriculum in the beginning. So
Right.
I wouldn't waste my money on that, honestly.
Right. 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 Yeah,
Uh,
that's the reason why I was like, man, between 8 and 15,000. Let me run this by AZ. Let me run it by him and get his outlook on it. I know the sole decision is on me if I'm going to pay eight to 15,000.
yeah,
Probably not.
no,
But I
don't
wanted to
pay.
hear another perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
don't pay, don't
because
pay.
because I was kind of asking, can he send me something in a PDF form so I can take a look at it, I can analyze it, see if it makes sense to me. It was like I'm showing it to you. Basically he was trying to show me his curriculum right then and there. And I'm like, if you can, just send it to me. I keep in. He was like basically, I keep in touch with you, see if you still want to go through the program. He kind of like dismissed my question, but it's okay. He sunk himself right then and there, so
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah, I wouldn't pay for it.
Hello.
My
Hello.
operating system is just a second.
Hello. Okay.
Just a second. My operating system is I'm using Windows, but when I do the projects, I do the project in Windows and Mac. So right now I'm using Windows. Um, Let me look up this same. I think I know it, but I'm not seeing choose. What is that? Uh, like Splunk. Oh, okay. Does cloud security use yes. I mean, yes, cloud security, yes, if you're doing cloud security, that is one of the main things they do. So either they will probably be collecting data from a lot of places. I know in our environment, we collect data from different places and we then send it to Splunk or there's SonarCube. the one I was just working on yesterday was SonarCube. We send data from different places to this tool that scan it. For example, SonarCubes will scan our code in our repository and it would create a finding based on if it finds any vulnerability in the code or whatever we are deploying. So yes, if you are trying to learn cloud security, yes, they do use a lot of this to like Splunk or whatever tools out there that your company wants to use. As far as for if AWS probably has their own tools too. I know I can't remember some of the names, but
Guard duty.
Guard Duty, yes, Guard Duty. What's the other one? I see Security Hub, something security. They have AWS has a couple of tools
You got
for that
identity
too.
center, right? Too, right?
Yeah. So that you can use so yes, it is part of, it's one of the, if you want to learn cloud security, I'll say yes, paying attention to these tools, just understanding how to use them. Now, it's a good part of cloud security. Yeah.
I would
Sorry.
say Trivy too, right? Trivy for container scanning and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's so many tools out there. There's so many tools out there.
Yeah, for big organizations, for instance, Prisma. I don't know if you've heard of Prisma Cloud.
Yeah, I've heard of Prisma, but I haven't used it before. Yeah.
It comes with the CSPM, cloud security posture management, and also the compute side. So if you're interested in cloud security, that should be a good move.
Yeah, that's true. But sorry, I didn't want hold on, Sean. Sorry, I didn't want to digress. Someone who was trying to say something earlier that I said to hold on. I didn't want to skip them to move on to something. But I couldn't see.
I was the same person. To the earlier question, somebody was asking about the job. I think recently we had some few people let go because they didn't pay attention to onboarding emails that were coming to them. It's an insurance industry, so mandatory training and all those things, they missed them. And that was an opportunity that, they just missed, and they just have to let them go because of that. So mostly it's about you working hard for the interview. When you immediately, your first 90 days, you want to, I wouldn't say 90 days, but the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you should be paying attention to your emails and also the onboarding training that you are supposed to, especially if the industry like insurance, where you have mandatory training before you are allowed to start doing some stuff. That is very important.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so the 90 days is just everything, right? Just seeing if you are going to fit perfectly during that time. Because really, they don't want to train you, right? They will give you all the whatever they need to give you to get you. Their goal is to get you. The main thing is giving you access and you start working. So however you fit in is what they are looking at in that 90 days. So after that 90 days, you have another review. I mean, I keep saying 90 days. After 90 days, which is mostly for most companies, you have a review and then you move on. Your manager, this is how you did and all that stuff. But for yours dealing, the guy said 21 days. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I think there's a similar to in Azure, there's like cloud formation. I think it's Azure Resource Manager.
Yeah, I think
it's Azure Resource Manager and Bicep, both of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't learn those ones for now either. So when I do the project, I'm not going to do. So you don't have to learn the infrastructure as code tool for AWS and Azure, right? Just learn whichever one is popular, which is Terraform. That's the one I'll focus on, right? But as I've always said, if you know Terraform, trust me, the knowledge is, you can translate it to, if I need to learn Pulumi, like any of our projects we've completed in Terraform, if you ask me to convert it to Pulumi and present it to you next week, I can do that. because I know I'm not going to need any other settings than what I already have in my Terraform code. The only thing I just need to figure out is how to write it in Pulumi. And once I figure that out, that's it, right? So when I learned when I learned Terraform, I first learned CloudFormation. Then someone told me you need to learn Terraform because that's what everyone is using. So I pretty much took my CloudFormation code, the same projects that you guys have access to. I pretty much took that code and look at whichever setting I had in there. And when I was writing my Terraform code for each of those resources, I was looking for those settings in CloudFormation, in Terraform. And that was how I learned Terraform for the first time. When I learned Terraform, I didn't watch any YouTube videos or anything. If I had like specific question about something, then I might try to go look online and see how it is done. But I literally just learn it based on knowing one thing and translating the knowledge to the other. Just like how I'm learning Azure now, I'm literally just translating my AWS knowledge to it. So I'm saying all that to say, if you know one thing, it's almost like you know the rest. And you just don't want to waste your time learning them, because if you learn something now and you don't end up using it at all, you're still going to forget. So it's just better while you are training now, just maximize your time by learning the tools that will actually help you towards your goal of getting a job. Because for example, if you learn like whatever the IAC tool is in Azure, and you are applying to a company and they use Terraform, they're not going to care that you know that. They're just gonna say, we want you to learn Terraform. Because that's what we are using. So whatever tools you guys are trying to learn, like Pulumi or any of those things, is only going to matter if the job you are applying to is using it and it's something they need. Oh, you think AWS has the most confusing UI? I actually think their UI is better. That was what I said earlier. I think AWS UI is better than Azure.
Yeah.
Azure seems overwhelming for me as a beginner. The first time I'm looking at it, it seems a little bit overwhelming. But obviously, I was able to navigate through it. But I think configuration-wise, Azure is simpler. UI-wise, AWS is better, in my opinion. And AWS has been they've been updating their UI where any service you are configuring, they just put everything on the same page. I like that. Where you go from one section. It's like, for example, now for this EC2, we select our AMI, we select our instance type, key pair, network, and storage. And once you select that, you're done. You can launch your instance. It's right there. It's right here, right? It's different from Azure, where if I was creating an equivalent, which is a virtual machine, like if I click create here, right? First, I have some settings here. Then I have to click next. Then I have to click next and click next and click next. It's still kind of the same way, but I prefer just having it simplified this way. So, but everyone has their own preference. Some people might actually find this method much simpler. Okay. Sean, did you have any question earlier?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you was two different things, but so I just completed the Azure 900, and so I'm thinking about going down the pathway of like how we did AWS with the certifications, with like getting the practitioner and then getting the associate and getting the higher level one. But I'm thinking about skipping just the administrative type one and moving to the security one, because I guess that's where I want to spend my time at. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that part. And then I wanted to make a comment about, I guess, how you're going to do the projects moving forward. Because I want to move into like doing a Terraform one, and what would be kind of more the release dates, or could I just jump ahead of it? But you can answer them. how you think?
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, for certifications, if I was to start all over, I will only get 2 certifications, right? And the only certifications I will get in the beginning, if I was a beginner, is the certification that just helps me understand the service. Like, for example, when I started AWS, the cloud practitioner, the reason why I always recommend the cloud practitioner and the solutions architect is because those certifications help you. You don't even have to do the certification in the beginning, just do the course. Those courses will help you get started in the cloud. Because again, if you learn something there, whatever concept you learn there, when you try to go and learn Azure, you'll be able to translate it there. So certification should, in the beginning, to get into, looks good on your resume. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it feels your resume in a way where it shows you have certification, but just don't get in the habit of having like 10 certification listed on your resume because some managers don't like it, especially nowadays where it's so kind of like easier to get certification. To them, they might feel like you are trying to sell yourself from a certification standpoint as opposed to selling yourself from the experience standpoint. So, but I like what you said. If security is what you are interested in, yes, I will skip whatever I'm not sure how the certification is structured in Azure, and I don't know if you have to take some lower
It's
ones before you take the security one. So if the security
no,
one is your okay, so if the security one is your focus, then just focus on that one and add it to your thing. It's actually gonna be good if you have some AWS certification and you have a security one in Azure. It does complement each other. But just don't go
okay,
and be like one of those people that have 16 certification. You have all the certification AWS offer, and you have all the certification Azure offers. Like
okay, cool.
that's not a good look. But yes, I agree. Because you want to specialize in security, then get that one. I think it will complement whatever AWS certification you have. So, and I think I like what you said before. You get that security with Azure. You said you wanted to get the Kubernetes one and the Terraform one. And I think that's good. And if you get maybe AWS Solutions Architect, I think all those certification complements each other. That is a good
Yeah,
set. That is a good set.
yeah, I got the AWS one. I'm working on. I just finished the Azure one, and I'm working on the Kubernetes one currently.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I was gonna add another resource. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Microsoft Learn is a good source to use to kind of like go through, and it's free through Microsoft,
Mm-hmm.
where it kind of walks you through building stuff and like just learning about Azure. And it just like soon as you launch Azure like you got now, you can click
Mm-hmm.
on it and it'll take you to actual Microsoft Learn. So it's just a very good platform.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
that
Yeah.
people,
Is it on do I access it from the Azure portal or is it like a different service altogether?
um, I've
Microsoft.
been told that you can add it. You can go from a browser, or it should be right down. Should be you can go from the console too.
Microsoft Learn like
hmm
this
Yeah, Microsoft Learn. I can't.
or
I'm on my phone.
training.
I'm trying to.
I think is like a site.
And once you sign in, like you should be able
Oh,
to.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of probably like a similar to what's that other one AWS offer? It's like Microsoft. It's like a site where you can learn different things about Microsoft services, right? Like different.
Is this keep you that you're talking about?
No,
Excuse me.
it has pathway. It has pathways and stuff like that
Yeah,
on
that's
this one.
powerful. So you can learn Microsoft Azure Fundamental, Cloud Concept, Azure UI Fundamentals. Yeah, so it's
Is
kind
it
of like
like AWS keep you that?
yeah, it's kind of like a cloud guru or something like that. But it's kind of like any platform that you can go and learn different things, right? So I, for
Yeah,
me,
yeah. It's
for me,
specialized. It's free.
for me, I just didn't find all this helpful when I started. For me, the best way for me to learn is just to get my hands dirty myself. You understand? And so if I need to learn something, um, I just need to know what I'm trying to do, and then I figure out what tools that AWS or Azure has that can help me achieve that. Then at that point, it's just about getting my hands dirty and trials and error trying to create it. Right. That's the best way I find learning, because sometimes when I go and watch this 3 hour, trust me, honestly, I don't be getting through them. I don't get through the 3 hours, especially if it's just like lecture where someone is just explaining stuff. I understand stuff better and I remember things when I'm just doing it by myself. So you can see
Yeah,
in
I mean,
my own learning thing, I have a lot of questions in here that I'm following back up. Tell me one thing. If I don't understand it, I add and I ask another thing. Okay, why is it this? Why is it that? You know, I mean, honestly though, guys, there's no really way. It's kind of like hard not to learn anything in 2025, because the other day I even started using, instead of typing, because I got tired of typing, I can just use my microphone here and speak to it. And now if you have ChatGPT on your phone, it speaks back to you, right? And you just have conversation and you'll be learning. I learned so much, honestly, not just in cloud, just in anything in life in general. The other day, I'm redoing my office, and I wanted to create an artwork for my wall, and I just told ChatGPT what I want, and it created the image for me. I gave it some examples of, and I got the image. I printed it out. I uploaded it to the site, and because it's one of those sites where you send the image to them and they'll make the poster for you, and they made it for me and they shipped it to me. Literally, there's nothing I do now. If I need to learn anything, it's not just cloud. I'm talking about anything, relationship, philosophy, trying to find a dimension for something, how to install anything. ChatGPT will teach you. So this is how I found, this is the method I really like to use to learn. For me, this would just be boring to me. Yes.
Yeah. Prof, are you using the paid version of
Yes, I
ChatGPT?
am. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear they recently released some prompts. I don't know if it's available.
Oh, they did? Yeah, I don't keep up with their update, but whatever. So for example, the paid version that I'm using has access to this 4, ChatGPT 4, 4.0, right? This 4.0 is very, very good. It pretty much
Okay.
any code I'm trying to write, even with my stock, oh my God, this thing wrote a code for me that actually shows me every day the best time I can buy any particular stock. Not only even like when I can buy it, it shows me whether I should buy it or not. Because the code it wrote for me prints different things on the screen that I can see the pattern of how the stock is going, how the stock is moving for the day, and I can use it to predict whether I can buy it or not. And every single day it's been accurate. So I'm telling you, ChatGPT, cloud, AI, especially ChatGPT and Claude, there is very powerful. So that's what I use, especially when it comes to learning. But if you guys like some of this concept, this is probably a good resource you guys can use too. So I'm not gonna be opposed to it. Sean, I think somebody told me about this Azure fundamental. The first time I talked about learning Azure with that, this was in December or whenever we discussed it, and someone told me about the Azure thing. I remember going on YouTube, bookmarked the video. The video is probably like 10 hours long, but I just never got to it. Because stuff like that overwhelms me.
yeah,
But then,
I did it yesterday. I passed it. It wasn't a hard test. I mean, a lot of stuff that we do in AWS correlates to it. So I mean, the cloud computing, the VMs, the consumption type pay as you go. It was questions like that, but it wasn't hard. Probably looks hard when you first look at the material, how much it was, but once I got in the test and I started looking at it, it wasn't difficult at all.
yeah.
Hey, Aziz, this is Daniel.
Hello, Daniel.
How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I was going to ask you, man, I know we've talked about this, but from your project platform standpoint, what would you say like the top 5 projects that one need to kind of like within anything, there's always like a top tier that that one need to kind of like go through and solidify pretty much what we're doing, like getting yourself ready for a job. I know we've talked about, hey, like for infrastructure as code, Terraform makes sense, and then you need the Docker project. So what would you, from your standpoint, what would you say, like, hey, you know what, these are like the ones you should start with and finish with, and get these going, just so you stand a better chance?
Yes. So it's like I've always said, like the concept is very simple, right? You take one application, and I prefer you guys use a dynamic application. That's what we are using, right? We take one dynamic application, and you pretty much try to deploy that application using every DevOps tools that most companies look for. So in our case, we take one dynamic application first, we deploy it in the management console. So that way we understand what services we will use and how those services are configured. Then once we understand it from that standpoint, we take the same application, now we deploy it with Terraform. Then once we deploy it with Terraform, we take the same application, we deploy it with Terraform Azure. Now when we do that, we take the same application, we deploy it with Docker. Then once we've done that, we take the same application, we deploy it with Kubernetes. You don't have to keep using different applications. You can use the one application, one concept, and just keep deploying it in different tools. So if you speak of the tools that you need to just have down, is the stuff that I mentioned, understanding how to deploy a service in the management console, one, then understanding how to deploy it with Terraform, two. So Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes, CI/CD, Git, understanding source control, Git and GitHub, understanding source control and things like that. Then if you want to do like a scripting kind of like automation thing, then you can learn Lambda. Like Lambda is just writing code. And Lambda can take codes in different language. So it's not just Python. So if you have a basic Python code, you don't even need to be an expert at Python, because the Boto3 package that we use to create resources in AWS using Python, they will give you the sample of the code. What is just like Terraform, you're trying to do this, this is the sample. So I think if you have those down, you're ready for work, honestly. And they are understanding how to use the management console, Terraform, Docker, Docker ECS, Kubernetes, CI/CD,
Yes. Yeah.
Git and GitHub, and Ansible. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
And then
it.
also, yeah. And then also I know you and I, we also talked about this a couple of months ago, because my background is pretty much like, I'm into data analytics. I'm a senior data analyst right now. And I've got my SQL skills and databases, data warehouse and all that stuff. So just like what Yashon was saying, the end goal for me is going to be getting into data engineering in the cloud. That's like my goal. And because I don't want to waste my SQL skills, which I can use, make more money with that in the cloud. And I've been doing like research, trying to see what the route is going to be like. And it's going to be like, at the end of the day, getting into data engineering, creating pipelines, moving data from different sources, bringing them into the cloud, and be able to query those databases, whether it's the data warehouse in the cloud, looking at Snowflake or whatever it is, and being able to, at the end of the day, make meaningful sense out of the data, because the world is moving into like big data pretty much. Well, not even moving, it's actually there now. And for us to be using ChatGPT now, the data has to be ready for ChatGPT to get you the answer. So the world is going to be needing a lot of like data engineers to build these pipelines, pull the data from whatever source they are, clean it up, transform it using Databricks and all that stuff, and make the data ready for analysis and come up with like meaningful decisions at the end of the day. So I know we talked about you reaching out to, I think it was your neighbor or something, but I'm doing my research and I'm finding stuff around worrying. I can get into that space worrying. It's more so dealing with the data and getting all that stuff. Have you been able to, do you know anyone besides the guy that you were talking about, just so I could sit with them, talk with them, get a sense of like, hey, this is where I'm headed and this is what the plan is. It's because I've been doing my own research. I've found a couple of people who can actually get you ready for that. And that's my goal. The goal is to get into data engineering, build pipelines and make.
Yeah, I really don't know anyone that's doing that. Well, I only know one guy, but it's not someone that I know of him, but it's not like someone that I have like his number or anything. Other than my neighbor, than my neighbor. But I haven't really seen him in a while. Now that you reminded me, I'll keep that in mind. I really don't know anyone, right? So that I can pretty much connect you with, but well, other than my neighbor. So that's why I'm even saying like, even with this, even with that, even now, pending the time where you find somebody, I will always say, I think ChatGPT can help you with a lot of the things you need to learn to get started, to get you there. ChatGPT can help you with it. Just create a project in ChatGPT of data engineering and tell it specifically what type of project what type of project you would like to complete end to end. I guarantee you it will give you the plan. And you just work on it and you just try to start building those things. And before you know it. And now when you are meeting somebody else, it's almost like you guys are just sharing ideas. I mean,
Yeah, I would add
I,
that. Is that Daniel? I would
Yeah.
add time to do what Hafiz just said, and then posting it on LinkedIn to try to create a conversation to meet somebody in data engineering. Because that,
exactly.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
that'll help.
That's one of the best ways to do it. Like I get requests on LinkedIn all the time. Is only because I do cloud project and I meet people that way, right? So if you can don't know anyone in this, uh, like in your immediate area that you can meet, is like what Sean said, doing project and sharing it online. You'll meet those people. Trust me, you will. So, um, about and I'm saying this to everyone in general, including me. I really just feel like you don't need anyone to get started. If you want to do something, just start. Just sit down. The good thing is we have almighty ChatGPT to help us, right? Just start. That is a perfect starting point. Tell it exactly what you're trying to do. It will give you a plan. Like when I started this Azure project, I didn't know how to create an account. I didn't know anything, things that I need to set up, but I just kept asking questions. It just kept, okay, start here, do this, do that. And I was following the instruction, taking notes. Really, I really just feel like that's the best way to start. I mean, like anything we want to do, you really don't need people. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like people are going to BS you. And nobody's going to have time to teach you. Um, I'm not saying you're looking for someone to teach you, but really they they I don't even think they're going to give you the information in a way that is all that can help you. I mean, everything is just going to, like, if you ask me about cloud now, I'll tell you, oh, cloud is you can get a job at your job. This is this. Those are good information, but how does that help you learn? Building the pipeline, the things you need to learn, right? For you to build the pipeline, learn all the things you need to learn, you have to be getting your hands dirty, working on the projects. You fail here. Okay, I'm getting an error here. What did I do wrong? You've tried to resolve it. That is really how you learn. And I feel like it's only you and ChatGPT that can do that. Even meeting someone, they're not gonna want to teach you anything, honestly. So, I mean, that's just my take. But
And also,
once you have those projects and you share it, then you will meet people that you can now collaborate with that wants to do project with you.
cool. And also, Dylan, we can also talk offline if you want to, but I've got like kind of like pathways as to how to go about if you wanted to get into like analytics and stuff. I've got courses that I bought like a couple of years ago, and also I've got reliable people I can link you up with. You can start like a training when you start pretty much from like SQL and get onto data visualization tools like Tableau, Power BI. And I also got like courses that I bought, which started right from the base Excel, get into SQL, and then get into all this visualization concepts and all that stuff. Things that are really reliable because I've used them for a while, and these are people I've worked for. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because that particular guy, he was telling me that I have to know SQL. Only thing I know about SQL is in the management console for I guess he trying to give me a whole breakdown of SQL. And that's the main thing he was kind of focusing on for us SQL, understanding how it works for us the data and how to manage it and stuff. But yeah, we definitely can leak after class. I'm gonna leave you my number. We can talk. We can get on the computer. It wouldn't matter.
No, that's fine.
I'll
Cool.
leave it in the chat.
Yeah. So, Innocent, should you learn what about Jenkins? I wouldn't learn Jenkins, honestly, because there's like so many modern day CI/CD tools that are out there that's way better than Jenkins. And I think like most people, when most people that always ask me, and I'm not saying you Innocent, but in the past when people always ask me, I want to learn Jenkins, I want to learn Jenkins. It's because they took someone's boot camp that the person is teaching them Jenkins. You don't learn don't learn Jenkins. Like I don't know Jenkins now, but if I need to learn it, I will. But there's just a good chance you won't find a company that's using it. And the companies that are using Jenkins are trying to get out of using it. So why should I use Jenkins, right? When I have tools like Code Build and GitHub Actions and other type of CI/CD tools that are out there, right? With these tools, all you do is just write your script. You write the script for your pipeline. Whether it's Code Build, you write your build spec file. And in GitHub Action, you write your YAML file, and it pretty much just goes straight, launch a container, deploy whatever is on your script, and goes away. You don't have to manage anything. With Jenkins, you will first have to create your VPC, set up all the routing tables, security groups, and everything. Then launch your server. Then you have to configure that server, manage it from a security standpoint, add users to it, and all that stuff. So imagine just working on CI/CD and you're taking away the fact that you even have to manage the server. I really, really love that. That is why I always prefer the modern day CI/CD tools over Jenkins. Because I did a code build project the other day. I was done in no time. I didn't have to worry about launching an EC2 instance and all that stuff. So I would say don't learn Jenkins. Learn other CI/CD tools instead. That's what I would say. Thank you, Wiz. So yeah, so that should be done now. I already started recording the Azure videos. They'll be available probably in the next couple of weeks. Olga, who can teach me Python? Who can teach me how to use Python to automate workflows? You just have to define. Honestly, though, I really feel like if you understand exactly what is your workflow, what workflow are you? Just a second. Yes, what workflow are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you, for example, are you getting a data from somewhere? And so again, I always say like when you are learning, it's the concept that matters. If you understand the concept of what you are trying to do, just write what you want to do down first, right? Say, okay, I'm going to download data from this source. Then once the data gets here, I want to do this to it, whether you want to manipulate the data, pass the data, clean the data. Then once you clean the data, I want to move it into this area. Then just write down what you are trying to do. What is your workflow? Once you figure that out, the next part will be, trust me, the Python part is easy. Once you know that workflow, ChatGPT can even give you the tools you can use in AWS or Azure to do it and what the code will look like. So with everything we do in cloud, understanding the concept is always the most important part of it. So if you know what you are trying to do, what your workflow looks like, trust me, the code is the easier part. All right. Yeah. So does anyone else have any question? Okay. So are you guys, let me ask you guys a question. So are you guys, it's probably not a question. Do you guys feel like the Azure project is something you would do, or is something you are interested in learning, or it's just kind of like, um, you just want to have access to it to have access to it, and if you need it later on, you will use it.
I'm definitely into it. Um, once it's
Mm-hmm.
out, you know, on my own, I'll see what I can do because I've had it on my mind. I think the seed was planted last week. I don't know who was talking about. I was thinking I should try and replicate the project that you've done on Azure. So I'm definitely going to go out in that direction of replicating those projects that we've completed on Azure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so work on it, and it's the same thing I'm doing. And I think Sean had the same question. So Sean, I do plan on releasing each of the videos for Azure and AWS for each of the project. I'm estimating each one is going to take me about 2 weeks to record and edit and get it upload and get it ready. So I'll say about every 2 weeks, I shall have new projects. I shall have the AWS one updated and the Azure one, both of them ready, right? So I'll say every 2 weeks I'll be uploading new project until we are done with all the applications we've deployed in AWS has been done in Azure as well. Yeah, so that's why I plan every 2 weeks. Should you master AWS first than Azure? It just depends, right? So Olga, it depends. If you are already learning Azure, then stick with Azure and just learn whichever one you already started with and you are working on, then continue working on that. It's just that us over here, we all of us started with it, or you started with AWS. Perfect. So since you learn AWS, continue learning AWS. Then once you have AWS down, the same project you've completed in AWS, then you can try to go do the same project in Azure, which is what we are doing now. We already did a bunch of projects in AWS. We are now doing the same project in Azure. And I did find that going from AWS to Azure I found it much simpler because in Azure, so far, things I had to configure, there's less things I have to configure in Azure to get the same result than AWS. So, which is making the learning much easier for me. So,
yeah, that's what I seen too. Like you don't need as much services on the Azure side.
Yeah. So I think Sean, before you joined, I already did I already recorded the static website project in Azure. So I'm going to release it probably in like not this coming Monday, the next Monday, right?
Okay,
And
dope. Good job.
I was saying, thank you. And I was saying that I was like, in Azure, I can create a VPC with public and private subnet in like 5 minutes.
Man,
right?
that's crazy.
Like you don't even have to you don't even have to create route tables and all that stuff in Azure. Soon
Yeah,
as
you just tell it. You just tell it, and then
exactly,
it do.
soon as you tell it is a public subnet, it knows it will do all the whatever the configuration is behind the scene to make it public. And if you tell it is a private subnet, it will do whatever it needs to do behind the scene to make it a private subnet. I really like that. And I even find out for the security groups, you don't attach security groups to the resources. You attach it to the subnet, which makes it easier,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if you have a subnet and that you want it to be public, you just attach your security group to that subnet. Okay, this subnet is going to allow access from port 22 from the internet, and you're done. Any resource you create in that subnet will be able to use that security group. So it limits, there's just limits in like a lot of things we have to configure in Azure, which I like a lot.
That's more like a knuckle, like a network access control list.
Yeah, in
Like you
AWS,
said.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. It's almost like a network access control list in AWS, but in Azure, that is their security group. And what else did I find easy? Yeah, a lot of the even connecting to the server, running my commands, everything. The SSH is just very straightforward, nothing too complicated. And even when I created the NAT gateway, you create the NAT gateway, you say, okay, this private subnet, these subnets are going to use this NAT gateway, and you are done. You don't have to go and update the route table, set up all that stuff we do in AWS. So I find
Yeah,
Azure much easier to learn after
yeah,
learning AWS.
yeah, it's a lot more simple from a standpoint of once you know AWS, you can move over easily.
Yeah. I can imagine someone that knows Azure a lot trying to go learn AWS and they figure out and they realize they have to create their own route table. They're probably gonna be pissed.
Yeah, the
Right.
guy in my job, he's like, man, it's just too much.
I think that experience is like learning Terraform, then having to learn cloud formation as well. Because I find cloud formation annoying right now.
Exactly. It's like learning so it's good that we learned the other one first. Now Azure seems a little bit easier to configure, in my opinion. So we were even talking about it, Sean, before you joined, that imagine now when we go work on our Terraform for Azure, we don't even have to specify all those configuration for the route table and all that, attaching the route table to the subnet and all that stuff. I don't think we have
Yeah,
to.
the code gonna be more smaller and simpler.
Much smaller. Exactly.
And you haven't got this far yet, Fees, but when you get to like playbooks and stuff like that, and like on the security side, Sentinel they got like a long list of just playbooks that you just click on and they just automate. It's a lot more simple on the defense side as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, okay. Yes, most company use cloud. Most company use Splunk in their cloud environment. That's probably where they will be collecting a bunch of data from the system and sending it to. Um, it just depends. Every company has whatever tool they are using, right? So so but but Splunk is the kind of like the popular one. So there's a good chance you'll run into like someone using Splunk than any of the other tools, but there are other tools out there. But Splunk is very popular. Almost everyone has Splunk. Okay, Innocent. Once I'm done with the videos and I post it, I will post about it. So if you're interested, you can. If you still have a subscription, it will be in your account. And if you don't, you can sign up. All right. Does anyone have any question?
So can I please see your proposal?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So the thing is like and the thing's like I'm live, right? So after I end class, I always still stay on live for like a couple of minutes before I finally end it, right? So that's why. It won't be immediate, but you just call me on the Slack order. Give me like 15 minutes to 20 minutes. If you don't hear from me, just use the Slack order to call me. Do you know how to use the Slack order?
Yeah, I think I think that the one that looks like earpiece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the headphone. Yeah,
Okay.
just call me. It'll go straight to my phone. Just call
Okay.
me. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
After 15, 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, maybe like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Mm. Okay. Does anyone else have any question? All right, cool. And we are right on time today. So expect the the static website project to be updated by not this Monday, the next Monday after that. Yeah, expect that project to be done. Then every week to 2 weeks, I'll be uploading new ones for all the projects, up all the way to the CI/CD. So by the end, we should have the projects in CI/CD, and we should have we should have all the projects, all the application done in AWS and in Azure. At that point, you guys are pretty much Azure expert as well. Okay, well, thank you guys. I will talk to some of you guys during the week, and the rest I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good weekend and good week next week.
All right, easy.
All right,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.